There are a lot of social issues that confront the cities of this country, as we know, but chief among them all has been homelessness and also housing. It's been a huge issue, and here in London, it's really risen to kind of a real crescendo in recent weeks. And it's really good for us to be able to talk to Allison DeBlaire here. Now, I've known Allison for a few years, but she's the co-founder of 519 Pursuit, and we'll get into that shortly. But Allison has helped me a lot. Let me just say that before we get into it, to understand not just the homeless condition and what's going on in the city, but for what it's like for marginalized individuals themselves and what they're facing. And I've really appreciated that education, Allison. So thank you for that. So you are co-founder for 519 Pursuit, and how long has that been going, that organization?
We're going on our fifth year. We did a soft launch in 2017, but officially launched in 2018. So looking at year five now, and it's been nothing short of incredible.
Yeah. And so what started you down that road?
So I've been a security guard in the city for several years, and often I was faced as a voice of exclusion. For years, I seen the same people kind of in the same situations doing the same things. And coming from a small town, I got curious. I wondered I wasn't so much exposed to homelessness until I came to the city of London for college when I was 18. So it was all pretty brand new seeing these folks in this crisis. And then also being a security guard, having to ask people to move along and that they didn't belong because of the status of their house. So um, for a while, I spent time getting to know people just on my own, building relationships, just being a friend to them. And I realized that that had a positive response.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, on a cold winter night, it was snowing. I made a crock pot of chicken noodle soup and I took some of it to share behind a local shelter to individuals who couldn't get in that night. And the first gentleman who had some of this soup made an announcement that there was real chicken in it, and people came running to my feet. And so at that point, I had gone home and had a conversation with my roommate, the co founder, Amber Irvine. And from there, we launched 519 Suits. We turned our home into a donation center and we taught our friends how to be, better friends in the community and just do better for ourselves and for the community that's out there.
Yeah, I think one of the problems, for us as a food bank was that we got started, most food banks in the country got started during a time of recession. So it's like you hit the ground running, right? It just have, and that happened to you. Like I realized you really got going in 2018, but really, before you got a chance to really like slowly grow and get into it the way you wanted to, COVID descended on the world. And then suddenly you got thrust as an organization into a situation which I'm not too sure you were fully comfortable with because there was a lot going on at the time. But I do remember a phone call that I had on a Saturday morning, Jane and I did with RBC Place, that we're really looking for some way in which they could help with COVID. We were talking with Laurie De Silva. And so we said, look at why don't we work, if we can, with 519 Pursuit? They work with the most marginalized that are out there, the people that are in forest trees who are living in isolation. Why doesn't the food bank pay for the meals? You, as RBC Place, prepare the meals because you've got an industrial kitchen, and 519 can help to distribute those meals. Now, from our point of view, paying for it was fairly simple. I mean, the public was really generous. From RBC's point of view, preparing a number of meals each day was what they did, right? For 519 Pursuit, all of a sudden, you went through the ceiling with all of these different things that were going on, all the community attention, media attention, and others. Did you find that to be a bit too much, or do you think it really helped you to grow into the organization you are now?
Um, Personally, I did a lot of the background work at the time. I will give kudos to Amber Irvine, the co-founder, who did take a lot of that frontline work for those first 6 to 8 months that were really aggressive. But I know working alongside her that it was very quick. A lot of changes had to happen very quickly. We had to go from just a couple people doing outreach at random and working out of our basement to finding ways that it could be more accessible to other volunteers and other teams, and how to get other people involved, knowing that the pandemic was happening and that we didn't know really what it held, um, and what it was like to be out there in the community when everybody else was being told to stay home. The safest thing for you to do right now is stay home. But for us, our friends didn't have home to stay at, and doors were closing, and society was slowing down, and they were still out there. And so on the fly, a lot did happen. We were able uh, to have an incredible group of people join us, and they still continue to join us today. We went from doing random outreach to having that partnership with the London Food Bank and the RBC Place to doing community outreach Monday to Friday. And during kind of the start of the pandemic, it was 7 days a week. They were going out there every single day to make sure that they were seen, they were heard, and they were fed and knew what was going on, because information isn't shared the way it is to you and I to them. But yeah, it happened very quickly, but everybody plays their role, and it's incredible to see, without just trying to train folks to be designed outreach workers, to just be people helping people and be friends, going out there and checking on individuals and making
Yeah.
relationships, how quickly people did show up for them, and how much they gave during that time and still do today.
Yeah. I will say that, prior to the pandemic, we talked about homelessness a lot. It was in the media, but it was kind of in a general way. And you're right, all sorts of groups showed up during the pandemic to help. But it was my sense that it was 519 Pursuit who was going out directly and seeing these people in the encampments. Sometimes you would take the media along, sometimes you would take a politician along or whatever it is. But all of a sudden, instead of being a general group of people, of marginalized people that people talk about, 519, I think, was really responsible for putting a face on them, histories on them, real true stories that were important. They weren't just stories of people that were down and out, but of people that were actually really doing remarkable things to survive and to help others. And I think that 519 really opened up the eyes of a lot of people. It opened up mine. I know, as you know, I would sometimes come out with these things, and it was great. But I do think for the London public, what they do know now of the homeless, much in the way of personalities and what people are going through. I think that 519, because of your willingness to work with the media and others, you helped in stories being told and in conditions being told. I think that really helped Londoners to open up. Did you sense during that time of COVID that opening up of Londoners? It seemed to me people were really, really interested in that as a story and were trying to reach out. Was that your sense too, or no?
Yeah, I think for us and how we're built totally on the backing of community. That's what makes our partnership with RBC Place and the London Food Bank so special. But also, we use social media as a tool to make that human connection, to share stories in a safe way of individuals in our community that are facing homelessness, rather than looking at it as homelessness, the crisis that together we need to find a solution to fix. We're saying, we have these individuals in the crisis that have a name, that have a story, that have, put forth the effort to get out of that position that they're in, but need a lot more help to get out of it. And, sometimes it's the independence that they don't want to lose when they are trying to get out of it. And that's where humanizing their story and making them know that we're not trying to help you get out of homelessness. We're trying to help you remember who you were before homelessness became your title, and get you back to that position. And without the community really responding to those stories that we're sharing, or responding to our needs that are survival gear, that's sleeping bags, that's backpacks, it's tents, it's snack items, it's boots when the winter comes and happens overnight for them, it's jackets and snow pants and gloves and hats and mitts. There's so many things that without the community, and I will say that London does an incredible job at responding to our needs, we wouldn't be able to serve the way that we do. This year already, we've given over 70 tents and we don't have funding for tents. The tents come through donation, and 70 tents is a big deal for folks who don't have a house, that don't have a home, and are trying to find shelter. And that couldn't happen without the supports of people watching our social media and learning about the stories and learning why tents aren't to be so afraid of, intensities happening all over our community, but understanding what a tent provides for somebody who doesn't have a home. And I think our community does a good job at listening and understanding and changing their perspectives or engaging in further conversation through the realities that we're seeing and hearing and channeling through those stories.
Yeah. Allison, you talk about, and you've done this from the beginning. I mean, long before the pandemic came along, you folks were already out there reaching out to these people. You call them friends. And it seems to me from my talks with you and with others in the organization that you really do mean that as friends. Like, I have friends, you have friends, just in general. And we're not sitting there always looking at their condition.
Yeah.
We look at them personally and how they're doing. That's how we do. And I've come to learn that that is how you see your friends, the people that we would call homeless, that you call friends. You're not trying to focus so much on the condition. You are trying to focus on the person. Now, you haven't told me that, but I'm guessing that is partly right.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. I think with that, I I thought about it for a long time as to what it was that 509 Pursuit should be, what it was that was needed through conversation with individuals that I was seeing as a security guard. And what I was learning is that they didn't need, per se, more support workers. They didn't need more client-based support where they were going into an office or they were filling out forms or they were, telling their whole story before they were supported, or just a general conversation was happening, or somebody from the public was even recognizing them. What I was learning is that real relationships, real people that weren't in the same position as them, real conversations, and just somebody to bounce day-to-day things off of, was missing. I think there's an incredible amount of people that are working towards getting them places, whether it is housing or getting them into mental health supports or getting them into addiction supports and things like that. But as a general community member, as a person who's seeing these individuals every day on my way to work or when I'm at work or when I'm in the community, and I start to wonder, why are they there? Why don't they have a job? Why don't they have a house? Why everything? I don't understand why they are still homeless in Canada. You
Yeah.
start to wonder, and you start to change that whole perspective when you look at them as a neighbor, as a friend, as somebody's brother, sister, son, grandchild. They're human. There's a reason for why they are where they are, and it's not likely they want to be there. It's likely that somewhere along the lines of getting back into housing or into our community or into a job, something's holding them back. And to have somebody who's not client based
Yeah.
be there for you every day, to work through little things, to talk about what's happening and what's not happening and what you've tried or what's even out there. Again, like I was saying, the information that they get is not the same way that we get information. They
Yeah.
can't just Google how to support this big thing that they're going through and say, oh, there's this support that I could try. We're there to have those conversations, to ask, what have you tried? What have you not tried? Do you feel like trying today? Do you have the energy to try today? What has gone on in your life in the past 24 hours? Do you have shoes to go and walk and try? Do you have clean clothes? Have you had a shower? Have you had a meal?
Mhm.
When's the last time you've had water in your system? These are all, general things that we're out there checking on first and foremost before we say, why don't you try these big changes and these big things to get you from A to B? I think that's something that is missing, that general, genuine friendship. When you look at another and just say, I'm here for you. I'm just today. What's going on? How are you? How can I help you? Or how can I not help you? How can I just be with you?
Yeah.
That's really what we're out there doing, and I think that's something that we're missing as a community and a society. When we look at homelessness, it's scary. Homelessness is scary when there's not housing to put individuals in,
Yeah.
when you're thinking of how do we fix this crisis.
Yeah.
So rather than thinking, how do I fix the homeless crisis in my community, we want to flip the conversation to, how do I help these friends in the community that don't have a home, that are out there every day, that don't have a meal, that don't have a closet, that don't have a shower, and these things? How can I make it a little better so they can think about these bigger things like getting a job and getting a home and doing those big tasks?
Yeah. Allison, the uh, right now, as we're speaking, there's another group out there that's really trying to draw attention to homelessness, and they've used the numbers 519 in their title as well, followed by another name. But it does get kind of confusing that that's happened, and I know you folks were around before then, but I think that what's really been great about you folks is that you have kept that message of friends from the very, very beginning. But where did the 519 Pursuit come from? How did that title come about?
Well, it actually started as my pursuit. It was something I was dreaming about for a long time in notebooks. I probably spent 3 to 4 years learning about homelessness in London. I watched the newspaper for years, to see what was there. I tried to be a better security guard by figuring out where I could send people when they couldn't stay at the properties that I was working at. Um, and when I realized, just having a general conversation with people, just bringing a backpack of clothing of my own, um, the my pursuit could be expanded to something much bigger than one person doing it. And it started as my pursuit. And when I realized that anybody could be doing it and helping as a friend, I changed it to 519 Pursuit, the area code.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that clarifies things a little too. Can I ask you a question that you maybe can't fully answer, and maybe you can? Your friends that you and the team of volunteers that you have spend time with out there in the community, out in these spots, how do they perceive all of this attention? All of a sudden now everybody's talking about homelessness and housing and all that kind of stuff, and I also think lately there's been a lot of attention drawn to it. um, are they aware that they've become some of the focus for community, or are they just more or less busy just trying to get by day, and then that's really not an issue for them?
I think it can go both ways. I know I've heard feedback that they know that these things are coming in. They know that without things that we're bringing to them, they couldn't have survived. They wouldn't survive. I know that we're very transparent with how we do what we do, whether that is storytelling on social media. We're very transparent with, hey, do you mind if we take a photo? Because if we share a photo and a little quote about how much this, brand new pair of shoes changed your life this week,
Mm.
we could probably get a couple more pairs of shoes for somebody else in your position.
Yeah.
And when we have those conversations, they're understanding where these things are coming from and what supports looks like. But on the other side of things, I don't think when the news starts doing these stories and conversations are happening that's not directly to them or with them per se, but it is for them in the
Yeah.
situation they're in. It's not affecting that much. Survival is happening 24 hours a day for them. Survival is nonstop.
Yeah.
Whether it's just, where's my next meal? Where's my next glass of water? Where am I gonna wash my clothes? Is my bag gonna get stolen today? Or if I lay down here to sleep, are my shoes gonna get taken off my feet? If I walk away downtown to get a meal, is my tent gonna be taken away?
Mm.
All these things are nonstop to a point of they don't have time to really pay attention to the news. They don't have access to the news of a newspaper showing up at their campsite, or a cell phone to go on Facebook or to go on social media to find these news articles being written about them. I think it's more so if the conversation comes from somebody in position that supports them,
Yeah.
they're aware and understand, but they might not understand the full context. And to say it lightly, these conversations happen often, but they don't usually get the greatest benefit of what should be coming from these conversations. In a
Can you
sense that
explain
they're
that?
still homeless.
Yeah.
They're still in the position they were before the article. They're still,
Hmm.
surviving day to day. So is it a big deal this time? It's hard to say.
Mm. Yeah, I do. It's very interesting. The food bank is somewhat the same, to be honest. I mean, but we're helping 10,000 individuals a month at the food bank, but really they don't know who the donors are. Right? The
Mhm.
donors don't know who they are, but they are aware that in an extraordinary time that people are trying to reach out to them, but that's probably about as far as it goes. I know before COVID came along, you were doing all sorts of things with your friends, and the food thing has been the thing that caught a lot of people's attention. Um, but where do you see 519 going from this? I know that the food that's being delivered from RBC Place is not the crux of what it is that you're doing. Companionship is.
Mhm.
That's what you're really attempting to do with those folks. Where will you take that in the future? What would that look like in your head?
So right now we're working on a pilot project that looks like one-on-one mentorship. Obviously, when we're delivering the hot meals and we're going out Monday to Friday from 11 till 1, we're delivering 60 to 80 meals in that, hour and a half capacity all across the city. So in that time, we don't have, hours to sit down and really connect with people. We're building relationships. We're building, really important friendships that don't go unnoticed, but we want to be able to spend more time with these folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're building a mentorship program. We're working on a pilot project right now to hopefully launch come October, November. And that's going to look like more one-on-one, more understanding a person's journey, who they are, where they are, and what they want to do with their lives, and what housing looks like for them, and what they've tried to do to get into housing and what they haven't tried to do, and starting at little goals and little capacities. And a big thing for that is, how do we help them get reintegrated into our community? How do we help them understand what there is in our community for them?
Yeah.
We do little things that are rewarding, like even just going out for a meal with a person one on one, sitting and having a meaningful conversation over a meal that's not delivered to you at a campsite or on the side of the street. Or how do we go take you shopping for an outfit that is for you, clothing that's not given to you through a donation center? How do we go build you up and normalize things that would be normal if you had a house?
Yeah.
How do we get you prepared for that again?
Yeah. And you've got a great team of volunteers. I see them every week down at RBC Place, at least some of them, and they've been so gung ho, and they come from all across the different sectors of the city. But you're still taking volunteers, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're always looking for volunteers. And like I was saying, the cool thing about our organization is that we're not we're not looking for people who have experience, background experience working with the homeless sector. We're looking for people that are looking to connect with people. They're just looking to go out in the community and be a friend, see how someone's day is going, have a conversation, check in with them, drop off a meal, and maybe, make that further as a relationship, in a sense that we're building a community that's inclusive. We're building, a place that those friends can feel welcome. We're building a place where we can eventually have, you know, days where we're popping up in parks or in
Yeah.
community places, that we can just spend general time together. I like to kind of say it as kind of like a family reunion in the park, where we're all meeting each other all across the city, but we never get time to just share space and just gather and be. And so we're always looking for volunteers to help us on community outreach. And then we have donation days. So on Saturdays, if you have any gently used items that you'd like to donate to help our care package program, you can reach out to us through our website, www.519pursuit.ca, or you can send an email to contact@519pursuit.ca. And we can help book a donation day time slot where we can accept your donations. And like I was saying, we always need volunteers to help us accept those donations from the community.
Yeah, we're running out of time here, but let me just be a bit personal here, if I may. When the pandemic hit and the food bank knew that all of these things were going to be expected of it, we organized, we got ourselves ready, but we did have a board meeting in which we said, how do we help the homeless agencies beyond what we normally do? We were hearing about people down by the river or whatever it is. How do we reach those people? And, we had told the public we were going to try, but really we had no way of acting upon the donations that were given to us. It was 519 that created that opportunity. So I know that we have a partnership with you folks, and it's been a wonderful one, and it's been great. But the truth is, you not only opened our eyes, but I think you allowed the generous donations that came into the food bank from the public and from the business community and government they had eyes and ears on the ground. It was 519 Pursuit. So suddenly for RBC Place in the food bank, that whole thing came together. But imagine what would happen if that would have happened. We had no place, no way to get it out. And 519 did that. But I've come to realize over time, Allison, that 519 has really opened all of our eyes, not to just the need, but to the people. And I thank you for that. These are people just like us who are trying to get by day by day. And I hope you realize, and that the organization and your board realizes, you've empowered us as well in ways we never could have. Do you see that? Do you see that in your own organization, that that's what
Uh,
you're doing for us?
people do mention it. People, I have amazing conversations all the time. I've been the face behind the social media pages since it started. So though people don't know they're communicating with me per se, I'm always engaging with these amazing community members that are looking to donate or that are seeing the stories. And um, it's such a fast-paced thing that it's hard to sit and reflect because they're surviving every day, which means that we're helping them survive every day. So
Yeah.
every day brings new challenges. But I am learning slowly to sit and look at how far we've come and how many friends we have and the stories that are happening and the friends that are coming and volunteering with us.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible full circle to see go on, and it's hard to accept and reflect, but I know it's happening, and it's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible, the journey, and to see people actually respond positively,
Yeah.
them being friends.
Yeah. Allison, you speak to those good people at 519 for us. Will you? They humble us. I think they've mobilized us, but I also think that they've empowered us and made us more of a community. And for you as well, I really thank you for that. I thank you for being on the front lines, and I thank you for making us more aware of what's going on there. Really appreciate all your work, and I appreciate you doing this, Allison.
Yeah, thank you. And also I want to say thank you, from all of us at 519 Pursuit, but also our friends,
Yeah.
because you're allowing us to be a greater voice for them once
Yeah.
again, and it's amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Allison. I really appreciate it.